forever, but this is actually hopefully a good one. My name is Steve Beebe. I'm CEO of WSI, and really excited to be here and learn from each other. Right now, there's so much going on with AI. Every day it feels like there's a new tool, a new platform, some sort of new promise, and it can really be overwhelming. Excited to share with everyone today what's working for you, what you've tried, what isn't working. It's not about pretending anyone has it all figured out. I know no one does yet, but it's about sharing what we've tried and what we've done and the results that we've seen from that. We're fortunate here to have Jeff Stotts with us today. I think all of you know Jeff, but if you don't, he is a partner and chief revenue officer at Forest City Digital. He spent more than, I think, 6 decades. It says 2, but I'm pretty sure that's a typo. 6 decades helping organizations build real measurable 6-7 growth through marketing strategy, marketing automation, and modern go-to-market execution. So an expert in the field. He's going to leave us with some golden nuggets towards the end of our conversation today. Really excited for everyone to open up and share what's worked for them and what hasn't worked. And we have our first volunteer hailing from the great Midwest in Indiana, Brent Becker. Brent, I'll open it up with you.
So the last 4 months of my life have been sitting at this computer quite a bit. And it's the first time I have a lot of travel. I was in Vegas last week and then head to Key West tomorrow with the family, and another trip after that. And it's the first time I'm like, I don't want to go on the trip. I want to keep on working on things as we're getting closer and closer. And one of the biggest realizations, especially in the last 3 months, is just how much better AI has gotten, beyond belief. And I say that only if you're paying up for it. The base models, the general stuff, sucks now in comparison to what's there. If you have anyone that is already good with AI at all, or even using ChatGPT, buy the $200 a month Claude Pro user for them. Like now, it's Opus 4.6 changed everything in how good it is. The amount of information I've gotten, the amount of stuff I've pulled over from ChatGPT, and it's corrected and fixed and done everything has been very enlightening. All the way to the point that other than some key connectors or software we're already using, I won't look at any other AI tools because I think I can do it myself. It's a little naive, but it's unbelievable how powerful the stuff is, really. Can I share my screen? Is that possible? Is it available? We see that okay?
Yep, we sure can.
So I'm doing a lot. I'm still a novice in Claude because there's so much more with Claude Code and OpenClaw and other things I can't touch with the permissions I have. But the ability to build skills within your Claude as well is building out entire infrastructure of everything, of doing it so I can reference it and come back to it in new chats right away and information. Since we need to build out more workflows and information, so I just gave it all of Sense's information so I can ask Claude what workflow I need, and it will spit something out that I can give to my Sense rep to build for me based on that criteria. After putting a few hours, into it, I now have a resource of a Sense master, as in my skill set that I can reference on things. Our APIs are new, uploaded every single API that is available to us, as well as Data Link, which is another one. I would say if you're with Aviante, Data Link just added 80% of the information that's in Aviante Bold to Data Link in Snowflake. So it's getting there of getting a ton of information, and that's the way to get to your information, to tie it to here, and then using the APIs that are there. These are other general IT infrastructure. I'm not going to click on that because it has everything we have on there so that I can pull and reference even into FortiGate routers of information. Basically building experts on things I'm doing without having to talk to someone. Claude has been my best friend, sadly, uh, for so many different things. A use case, one of the first things I kind of asked was people were struggling with resumes and cleaning them up. So I asked to build a
Yeah, a little
resume
bit
builder,
warmer.
and it builds an artifact, makes it looks great, guided me through the process of making this useful for my staff by posting it and even putting it behind my Microsoft login so other people can't get to it. Um, it and from there I've built out stuff, downloading a resume. Um, where did I download this to? Where's Carl's resume? To show what this does real quick. And this one I said, okay, make the resume cleaner, clean it up. You can add whatever you want. You can even put in a job that you want to cater it to. And then everything's hard coded, so it doesn't cost much at all on the AI level after this is built out because it's the code mostly doing the work, and only little usages get spit out to Claude in the background, and then it creates a customized pro resources resume that they can export. They can include a summary, hide the name, hide the contact, do whatever they want on here. From there, I've been tagging out, and this is all just me typing in what I want and then Claude going through it. They staff can change it. They can enhance the job descriptions, make it sound better for what that person's resume was. This is one I just pulled from someone's new resume that just applied. Um, I said, "What? Give me the driving distance." It said, "Okay, here's the Google API." Set that up and add to it, and now it gives me the actual driving distance for free because you get 1,000 hits through Google automatically through here. It's kind of just blown my mind on everything of adding. This is just to supplement what I'll be able to do automatically in the background as well, using it. But the people, my staff has already been using this a ton. And I even tied it to candidate matching as pulling our job description on top of it. As I continue to just add what I want to as case study for feeding back things back into the system as well through the APIs. None of this would have been possible 6 months ago. As quickly, this isn't hours, and I mean this is a day of my time, 1 hour to add each thing for everything here, and then it just keeps on growing of what I ask. Here's a quick link to the bold job. Next up, I'm going to add something that says pipeline them automatically through the API, and then giving me feedback on is this a good match or a bad match, so I can shift this and cater it later on as well. But that's just one use case. I just added the dashboard today. This took an hour. I said, all right, I'm tired of downloading a log. So give me a dashboard of what we're getting. And I added score and rank that hasn't been populated yet on how good the match is to change the match criteria for how good the jobs are. Then I can download the JSON that goes back to Claude so that it can do the work for me, or in Excel so I can share it with my team. And it's stupidly easy to do this stuff with any technicality of just asking what you need from Claude and building it out. And I never had GitHub before. This is where the code lives for all this. Posting a static website and then putting it behind my Pro Resources login, so only my staff has access to it. No idea how to do this before. It did all that, told me how to get to it, information, and then dashboards is another thing of that data link and information to get some crazy detailed information, especially from Snowflake, and modifying the information to get timelines and information that you cannot get from Bold in any way, shape, or form. And then I have some crazy ones of knowing open orders, where all our contacts are, how many applicants, how stale they are, who the last contact was, each link to them to get the stuff. And it goes into other stuff I'm constantly building out. feel like I don't have enough time to actually build it. But I had built dashboards before, but the amount of stuff I could put into this dashboard using Claude and tabular of hitting the database, and I'm not even scratching on using MCPs and Claude Code to do this automatically, which will be possible. This stuff's been blowing my mind on just how powerful it's gotten and how easy. I was able to build this dashboard out, and it would have taken me 6 months, and I got it, in 3 weeks. The amount of information and filtering and smart data that's behind it in no time has been enlightening. But takeaway, if you have anyone that is tech savvy in your company that knows your business in any way, shape, or form, pay for their premium subscriptions. You need the best models. They're light years better. Um, even one time I was working in Claude and it started spitting out information, and I was like, "What? You seem like ChatGPT today. What's going on?" And I realized that it defaulted to an older model. And I was already, that older model was the best model possible 2 months ago, right? 3 months ago. And already I saw the noticeable decline from the newest model and information. Um, and no hallucinating in Opus 4.6 at all. The things that are built, it doesn't hallucinate because it's building code behind it. So all it's doing is taking the data you have, running code on it. So it's not changing it, and then interpreting it from there. ChatGPT, it was a nightmare fighting that, of creating its own tables, speeding things up, and giving me shit information where the Anthropic code is code. So it's only manipulating the data you give it and spitting out. So it's going to be a lot better resource for anything you need to trust the data, even financial information is it's there to do stuff. So that's the reason I'm not looking at any AI supplier, because I can use, once I get full access to my data in a separate forum and be able to supplement it, we can do it ourselves. I don't have to wait on someone else to come out with a job matcher or come out with a candidate enrichment or other information. I can build it the way that I want to and modify it whenever I want to without a third party having to, dictate it or say, this is a good match. And you said, well, how is that a good match? And they're like, oh, there's stuff in the background. It does stuff. Now I'll be able to modify exactly what I need with the detailed descriptions and hitting those back end data and information with. I'm not relying on Claude when building. I know that something else might be better in the future, so I can swap it. They all play nice with each other on what they are. And it's stupidly cheap for how good it is. That resume builder has been used thousands of times, and it's cost nothing on the back end, and already saved us hours and hours of time that I'll now connect back to our other information so we can update automatically and give more, all for my time and no monthly subscription other than what I'm paying for Claude.
Brent,
So,
that's absolutely incredible. When you started this project, did you have a roadmap that you wanted to, these are the things I want to get to, or you kind of just started
no,
just free flowing?
yeah, it's been fighting AI for quite some time. And I was just months ago saying it's overhyped, it's trash, stop believing it. Um, Horribly frustrated with Copilot, with trying to create agents, with trying to create custom GPTs. Just an absolute nightmare of it actually doing what I want, and staying consistent. And just those last 3 months, it's been just enlightening and crazy how good the systems have gotten and the information. It's scary to think of what the next. And as much as I've done, I still consider myself a complete novice compared to what is possible right now with CoWorks, OpenClaw, just Claude Code in general. I haven't even got into that. I'm still using the Claude Code aspect, but a lot of copy and paste over of information without things auto running. So that's kind of the next level of information. I'm kind of handcuffed by, I'm a global admin for my company, so I can't give access to certain things or my computer. Um, but it's pretty bonkers. So working to get all of our information accessible to AI. And in order to do that, to create supplemental files that AI can read quickly so that I'm not getting things that are trigger points or A then B. It will be 3,000. Yeah, it doesn't matter if it's 10,000 lines of code, then give me something, right? And that's not, may not even be one thing. Give me 30 things and 40 different changes instead of just if this changes status to that type items once that the full scale is readily available. Um, and it's just stupidly cheap. I think the AI companies are still keeping it cheap to learn from what the information that we're giving it. Um, Although Claude just made $26 billion in 1 month due to all this stuff and people signing up. And that's just how good it is. It really is crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And you'll see stories online too of people saying the same thing. I always wanted to start a company doing this. And so I just asked Claude and I needed to create a website for it. Well, it guides you all the way through. It tells you what to do, sign up here, do that, copy paste. I didn't know what a static website was through Azure before that. Never used GitHub to upload code or do that information. Guided me all the way through everything, and then making sure that it's secure as well, without any prior knowledge of that information. It does it. It does it for you, and it writes the code just by talking to it. The most important aspect is knowing when things aren't right and knowing your business, right? I do have the know-how to know when it's going off wire or it's not doing what I want or some items on there, but knowing exactly what you want and how your business operates is massive, or else you're just going back and forth with someone that's giving you something and you have to go back and forth a million times rather than me just talking it out with Claude and fixing it and getting exactly what I want instead of a tag on that only does what the tag on does. Something I can change on the fly.
So obviously you've improved the customer experience, the candidate experience in your team. You've eliminated a lot of tasks that were time consuming for them. What
Honestly, not
other?
yet.
Oh, okay.
I took away one, right? That resume,
Yep.
cleanup and information, and then the job match and information. The next step is to make that actionable and update the data and information in bold and other places for supplement for further follow on. So that's just one tool of good doing, and then I'll take away pain point here, pain point there, and once the proof of concept is there, it'll do it. The recruiter won't. It already can to the extent, but I want it to be very guided by my staff feedback, right? By telling me what's working, what
Mhm.
isn't, and then doing there, and eventually getting to the point. And I'm not say this in just in a few months of it will be able to do everything a recruiter does other than make the hiring decision, probably in 3 months.
Absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
Any questions for Brent? Or maybe our heads are spinning so much we can't even formulate those questions yet, Brent. But you've definitely earned a little time away from the office, that's for
Well,
sure.
I've been kind of like, people need to know about this. It's so important. In asking of their so the Claude is its standalone, right? I have a standalone license with my login, and I'm going to switch over the team that uses Chat GPT. I have the business one for that with about 16 people on it. I'm going to move them over to Claude when I get back next week, fully, and then I can start giving them my skills that I've created. So I have a salesperson that's trying to do workflows, and I was like, oh, I already have a skill for that. All I have to do is give her the skill. She'll type in what she wants. It kicks out a file of exactly how she needs to build it with every criteria. And I can get that to the Sense rep to build out for us. And I know it's going to be right because I already built the skill and how it's going to go. When I do the Claude, I'll probably have to have a separate license because I'll need a business one with them, and I can't have my pro one in there. I need the pro one. It's hitting the highest model. With ChatGPT, you can hit the highest model, but they do it by tokens, and like each prompt was probably $1. So anytime I asked it a question, that cost me $1. With Claude, the 200 max, I've never run out in a day. I've used it heavily, very heavily. If you buy the mini one or $100 one, I would run out pretty quickly. But the 200 is I was like, I don't know if this is worth it. And now I'm like, it's worth 5,000 a month to me right now with what's being built out and everything there. Um, and Other models, I could see chat maybe catching up again. Gemini has other items, and with the skills and information and what you have there, it'll be easily transferable. It's all in text and code and readable anyway. Um, Copilot is going to get rolled into Microsoft, your licensing soon. So the licenses I bought is kind of a waste of money, and Copilot's still absolutely worthless other than its video and transcription and information that's there. Maybe if they figured out the agents, but now I don't know if I would build agents because it's so one-to-one, uh, this then that type items, which I'm avoiding. It's just it's too cumbersome to build out and do workflows and everything else. Everything with a large model scale of tons of information is constantly flowing of crazy amount of information. So um, I'm using Snowflake to update my Power BI right now. Eventually, I will. Snowflake is the information in Bold. It's just querying it and pulling it there. And then I'll use APIs and webhooks to keep that updated if there's any actionable items. But then use the APIs. Basically, I'll have that information. I'll supplement it with the AI. The AI can set up it to go feedback in the way you want. One with that resume is a proof of concept to clean up the work history on employees as well, not just the resume. Upload the resume and completely clean up the work history and populate the skills, right? It will do it very easily. So here's all my skills. If you have a resume, you see this, then populate all the skills in the talent file while you're doing it. So supplementing that time as well too, getting the data right and correct and getting ready for bigger things is next.
Brett, do you see getting rid of some of your existing subscriptions to other softwares?
So I'll still need Sense for the reach out portion of it, right? And updating. And I could see that supplementing in the fact of API calls and information. I could maybe put a tag on a bold file, and then Sense could engage that tag, and then it could create the reach outs just based on the tag, or update files based on the tag if I don't want to do it through the APIs of that information. I don't see getting rid of anything I use right now. Ringover, I want to connect those APIs so that I'll have voice transcripts and information on every candidate and employee, that the AI can read a talent file and not only read what's been put in, but also read the context of every conversation we've had with them instantly. Um, I'll hold on to ChatGPT because it could leap, you never know. But I've pulled most of my information over. And then there's other tools to use too, like Perplexity and other ones out there that are very good and could switch things as well. But I'm pushing Claude heavily for anyone because it's crazy good. It's insanely good, but only if you're paying for the premium. If you just sign up for regular Claude, you're going to get whatever. So I have not gone down the OpenClaw rabbit hole yet. And I can't because of my permissions. I can't risk it getting access to my computer and all that. What I'm thinking about is buying, or I have some other computers, right? And starting to play with that. Another solution instead of all the backend data and information is OpenClaw and CoWorks and all those other things. Maybe the solution will be setting that up so that getting all the licenses like it's a real person, and then having OpenClaw on a computer operating as a recruiter on that computer locally. It's doing everything on the computer that a recruiter would, and filling out, and that would allow it to go to other websites and gather information and do everything else that's not involved as well. So that could be the way of, you'll have recruiters and a computer, but it will be a agent running on it instead of a person. That's already possible right now.
That is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Tim Ratliff, did you have a question? I think I may have missed you, but do you have a question?
I did, but Brent answered it, so thank you very
Oh,
much.
perfect. Any other questions on this? That I can't even get my head around everything that you're doing, Brent. That's incredible.
Yeah, yeah. And it's do it now. And even as a business owner or if anything technical, anything you want, that it just it's crazy good. It's really, and the amount of information you can feed it through the pro for any financial or just analysis is a crazy amount of stuff instead of running into those limitations of putting stuff and then put it in a skill and you have it forever to reference back to.
Hey, Brent, what did you mention about data link?
So yeah, Aviance Data Link, they've added a ton. So it was originally just kind of some base tables that I only use certain tables and create my own in Power BI, just using the Power BI query and information. But they have added way more tables. Like almost everything from Bold is now in Data Link. Now it is just the information, right? It's still up to you to filter that information and make it usable. But before I had information or spreadsheets or still having shared folders go to my Power BI, I would be searching how to do a code, right, of a measure or information. Now Claude does it, right? And these measures I would have to test and see if they filtered right, would take a lot of time. And there's connectors now to I just use Tabular, which holds my whole database. And all I have to say is, hey, Claude, I need measures on employees by customer, by hour, by here, whatever else. And it goes, here's your C# for 30 different measures that you already and copy and paste it into Tabular. I hit press play, save, and that would have taken me 4 hours, and now it took me 5 minutes with how quick it is, and it's accurate. It's good.
And you're lowering the credits that you're using from Bolt too, correct? Through Data Link?
Yeah, so I think I'm paying, right, I was saying like $2,500 a month to have access to Data Link, right? And you get so many data pulls by credits. I'm using none of it. I filtered my pull to be so low because I only have Power BI Pro, which is just the base version, and I can only have my database be so big. And I can only do 8 queries a day or update it eight times a day right now. So next step is to up those licenses and the polls and everything else. So it'll be more live. Data, I keep on with Data Link and Snowflake are the same thing. Data Link is in Snowflake. It's AWS. It updates every 15 minutes, but it has about 90% of all bold information now in tables and information that's there. So you need that to grab your own data so that you're not waiting on Aviante to come out with a new AI tool or this stupid interview bullshit. Why are they doing this stuff? Siloing it. I need it connected, right? So I can connect that on the back end as well. Or any other tools of tag-ons, right? If there's a resume builder like I built there for free and it costs nothing a month, that is as good as a paid subscription by user over time, right? Next up, I'll build another one that could be another software. Yeah, it's been blowing my mind. I'm kind of not even sleeping well as I think about things it can do or other items it can happen. So it's yeah, it's a lot.
That's crazy. Dennis, I think you've got a question.
Yeah, thank you for letting me ask the question. And Brent, thank you for sharing what you've learned from this, number one, because it looks like it's well thought out and it's applicable to, the people, at least for us over here. I kind of have 2 questions. The last thing you said about your data refreshes, Power BI Pro license, is that because of what I've seen in the back end of the Power BI Pro license, where it only allows you to do the pulls on set time frames and that kind of a stumbling block okay, I was just curious if it was because I
it
had those
only allows
challenges
like
as
8
well,
times a day, or else I'd be able to do every 15 minutes and not hit my credit allowance.
Yeah, and I don't know why I'm talking with my hands with my camera off. I'm in agreement over here, and I got my camera off. The second question really had to do with kind of the insights, and you kind of with the data link now. Was you an insights user previously to that, and in the SciSense, or
No,
what?
I looked at insights and I said I can't manipulate this the way that I want and never used it.
Okay.
So the example of the Power BI element is good because it's telling us things we never could find out, and it's telling us stuff we could never find out, no matter how good Aviante got and how good Bold got, because I can create custom stuff of how we do things, right? Of what our activities are, what our
Yeah.
custom activity, all that information, and the timing of it that is unique to us. Um, Also, what's important is I know exactly how we use the orders and assignments in Bold. So judging by end reasons or how we're transferring, if it's a pay increase, if we have gang share on top of it, if we have three different orders on one, I then have Claude help me build an SQL poll from data link that gives me a completely clean assignment information from start to finish, regardless of how many rec IDs are in the middle of it, with the full assignment information, hours, pay, billing, and everything else within that full assignment, no matter how many orders were in
Right.
between, moving around one customer. And that so that SQL poll grabs it, pushes it together, gives me all the data I need to build it out again if I need to. Um, it's stuff that it just can't be done anywhere else or without that access.
So let me land the last question. Thank you, because I experienced those same things. And the last part of this is I've been a proponent of using AI for a long time now, and it looks like, and I just want to know if you're in agreement or disagree with this, with what the future, the change obviously that we're seeing is so rapid, the growth, the abilities and stuff like that, where it's becoming exponential and helpful at the same time, and not just hindering, like I got to lose something new. It's like I'm getting something new with
Yeah.
the learning process, right?
Mhm.
I've been a proponent to my team that their work is probably going to shift in the near future. Instead of managing software and tools, they're going to manage agents and tools, as opposed to working inside of, whether it be Aviante, HubSpot, Ringover, all these tools, right? And it looked like you were kind of laying the groundwork for that for your team. And then what you talked about, is that kind of where you see this going with you and your teams, or any information you could share would be helpful.
So you heard my frustration with agents or custom GPTs and everything else. I've given up on ever training my people in AI, and more so just building everything around them so that all the AI around them does everything for them, and supplements what they do automatically, um, with little feedback, right? Just presenting everything on a plate and letting them give feedback and then coming back, more so than them even having to interact or worry about prompts, or getting the prompts right. Um, because it's just not going to happen. People don't think in code or asking those right. So instead of having those, it's just having if I have an agent, it's going to be a very customized agent that has access to all our information, right? It won't be a co-pilot agent. It won't be the in a sense a third party agent. Even it will be our own, with that full access and context that I want it to, without it fighting me over what that stuff is. And I don't like agents either because they're too A to B process the information, unless they can all talk to each other on the fly, at any time, or switch over to another agent. A single agent is worthless to me, even though I created kind of an agent with that resume builder. But that's the employee feedback and loop is still important.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah.
Thank you very, very much.
All right, other questions? Jeff, you got to throw a hardball question at Brent. Come on.
Dude, I mean, he's got it covered. We're gonna have
I
AI
know.
mastermind, and he's gonna lead it. Like, just run it. No, I mean, that's good. I mean, honestly, that's the whole point of the show and tell is like, I think nobody, at least for me, I'm even, everybody's learning AI. Nobody knows like use cases. You try, like, it's easy with automation. Like, you can make a use case. I have a gap here. I need to fill it. You know, humans don't follow directions, or they don't want to do it, or something. So automation can clear that gap. AI is more, I mean, it's opportunities are endless. I mean, it is just like and it could come from anything. Like a lot of this right now, and I know they say vibe coding and all that stuff. Like a lot of it is just, like you just dream something up. Like it would be awesome if, and like you used to not be able to do that, or it'd be $100,000 to do something, and now it's like Monster Energies, Claude, paid subscription, and then a couple APIs, and you're like, I just built something, and I've seen that more and more. Like, um, I've seen it a lot with like estimating. So like I've seen it in different industries where people are like, hey, I use Lovable and I basically built an estimating tool that used to be, Excel spreadsheet, or it used to be a Google sheet or something like that. And they're like, I made this whole beautiful like estimating, you know, basically dashboard where I can go in and give the exact project price. I fill it, put in all my inputs, and it works. So it's pretty cool. I don't know if you have any other show and tells, Steve.
I don't think anybody wants to go next after that, but
No, crush
uh,
it.
Brent, I'm excited to in the next quarterly, and then probably a little bit too soon for Nashville because you're taking some well-deserved time away, but excited to see where this goes because I think to your point, it's the opportunities are endless to how it can transform your business, and I'm super excited to watch that.
So one thing I can just show real quick, I don't know if I can share. So a client, and he was cool with, like, he's actually working on a lot of this stuff. He's your Monster Energy, work at like midnight to like 3 a.m, putting things together. He put actually 2 Claude based AI tools that he wanted to use, and they're education and educational health staffing. Let me see if I can share real quick. So like the one use case was really, and it's super early stage. Like I think he did this earlier this week, but I thought it was in a perfect opportunity to do it. Is they have a chatbot, and they don't like the chatbot on there because it's not intuitive, and it's not like truly intuitive. So this is one where, and he's building all this out where he can promote this, and it was just all built in Claude. It took all of their information from their website, like data dumped everything, kind of like a Zen pilot, and then it defined who they work with. And so you would go in, and this took him 4 hours to build, and he was just basically going through and saying, do I need to get certified in CPR, school nurse job? I don't know. You just throw all that in there. But he's built this where it's really just it'll go through, it will pull all the information. I think it's even on the web. And as people, and this is more product facing, or people facing, so it's like, external people, where he can go in and, just they can click, and it's very intuitive with asking the next questions, what state or region. And then it goes, and he's made it to where, after the second question, it's basically either submit the question in writing or schedule a call with them. He can change that or whatever, but then it builds all of this. And it was really literally 4 hours of him just going into Claude and grabbing all the information and putting it all. And then I think they are a Bullhorn shop. So I think he's going to shoot this back to Bullhorn, where like under notes, if they can get the information, they can start pulling this back in there. But it's, what state or region are you looking at for school nursing positions? This will get me more targeted. It grabs all that information. And again, it's nothing earth shattering, but his use case was, hey, we have a chatbot. It's limited. It's not an intuitive chatbot. What if we could create almost like a help desk, and it's just something super easy? So that one's that one's in there. And then the other one that he just built today, and I don't know how long this built, but his big thing, and he doesn't do any recruiting. He's really more of like a consultant around the sales and recruiting process, but he built this next, and it's a recruiting intelligence platform where it basically, he fed all this information. And it's really, I mean, you could think of it as like and he's been in staffing, but he doesn't understand all the staffing pieces. But it was more of like, hey, I'm going to grab everything. They use Teams, they use SharePoint, they use Monday.com, Bullhorn, and Copilot. And as their recruiters are having conversations, it's taking all those conversations. It's basically, putting down exactly what it needs to do in terms of the fields captured, and then it's writing it back and feeding it back into Bullhorn. So as they're having conversations, again, I don't know in terms of, all the different things, but he wanted me to show this, and but they've gone into and built, here's every interview guide, here's all the questions. It takes transcript capture, so they use, I think, SharePoint or whatever, maybe that's Copilot in there. They use the recruiter call, and then it just goes all the way in. It builds actually like a candidate card in Monday. It goes into their payroll system. It syncs with Bullhorn. And then there's a search layer on top of it. So again, this is super early stages of what this is. And I don't know if this is going to be built skinning on Bullhorn or built in Bullhorn or whatever, but his whole point was, hey, we're having all these conversations. I don't really know what some of the, options are out there. And I just want to build something where everything is in one place. And so this one's just the power of everything's just in, like, you can build it in probably, it had to have been in the last day, because I didn't hear of anything about this. But it goes in and it just reads everything. And it's kind of building all of these different things in here. It's really giving an, extraction of everything and where they're at in the process. Are they going to, or do you push the workflow? All that stuff. So I at least just wanted to show that. Those were the two options there that, at least seeing how some of this is built for staffing. That's not your typical, staffing engine or any of the other stuff. So that was my show and tell, at least for that. I don't know if anybody has anything else.
Anything else that anyone's doing that you want to spotlight or tried that worked great or didn't work, or anything else?
Steve, I've gone pretty deep down the OpenClaw rabbit hole, so I can speak to that. I can't show and tell it because I don't trust it on any of my devices yet. So nice. I have it on, like Brent said, I've got it on a standalone computer, but it's really impressive. And honestly, I'm on Claude Clowork as well. I do the same thing with Brent. I've got the $200 plan there, and it is super helpful. Again, I haven't given it access to every tool I have access to just because of my rights and what I've got, but I've got, it's got its own folders and stuff that it can play in and do stuff with. But the OpenClaw is kind of neat because basically I can set up an autonomous organization, and it's the one tool I've used that is actually a little bit proactive in terms of how it works. I don't have to prompt it every time I want something, and I don't have to build out every skill necessarily. But I can, I use Opus 4.6 for the brain, and then I've got like the muscles. I've got, you've got one main agent that sits above every other agent, but then it's got a couple of sub agents that it spins up depending on the task of the work. And so if I've got some kind of development build, it's got one that's set up on a different model specifically for it does Codex off GPT. And so it'll build in Codex, which is cheaper. And then once it's done, the Opus model will go back and do quality control on it, review the code, and make suggestions and changes before it brings it to me to look at. And then it can build apps. I communicate with it and all the other agents through Discord. And so each one kind of has a different channel, and I've got several businesses outside of staffing, so it's got kind of context for any one of those, and context doesn't get confused. Where if you work with some of these other models, if you get enough context in one thing, it starts hallucinating or kind of getting off topic or starts chasing kind of ghost. This one, you can kind of keep context. And also you can kind of rewrite the memory system too, so that it can keep context over multiple days, over long, complex projects. And I found that was a limitation on a lot of the models previously, is it'd go for a while and then eventually it'd lose context. And you kind of have to start back over on some of that stuff, unless you've trained it as a skill or kind of replug it in.
Did you use those 4 new tools that they released just the last couple days?
Yeah. And and honestly, part of the training was I'd just grab YouTube videos, grab transcripts, feed it to it and say, hey, this sounded interesting. Tell me about this. What are the pros and the cons? And like the safety training, it's kind of like, hey, here are the things I want you to be extremely careful around in terms of like prompt injection, or anytime you build something, I need it to be behind a wall, and just kind of feeding it, in terms of its mission. Here's kind of core and critical. Don't do anything outside of these parameters. But it's, I can communicate through Discord. I gave it a Twilio account, and so now it can text me or it can call me and talk to me. And I hooked it in with 11 Labs, so it's actually got a Scottish accent, and so it calls and
come on, use your own voice. It'd be cool.
What's that?
Use your own voice in there.
No. We don't want that. Nobody wants that. But it's interesting. So by May or June, I'll probably have some. I've got 2 Mac Studios coming in, and then
you did order them.
What's that?
Are they the $800 ones?
Yeah, a little bit more.
Are they they're the 6,000 ones?
They're the maxed out ones, and that way you can load like those 2 daisy chained together. You can load a 1 trillion parameter model on it that you own, that's open source, that I can feel comfortable kind of putting my data to it, because it's not connecting out to Claude or GPT or anybody else. It's all hosted locally. But
that's the 256 gigabyte memory.
I think they're 512.
So then you can run AI without any token cost at all. It does it all locally.
Yeah.
Wow.
Can I have one of those, Ben?
We have a question from Casey.
No, we have to answer Brent's question first. If he can have one, maybe I can too.
No.
Casey?
Hi. So I'm like spinning here. This is impressive. Like, you guys are super agile and you're spinning things up very quickly. And I know that's the exciting thing here, but I will admit I'm losing the use cases in the tech discussion here. So if you guys could just, dumb it down, pretend I'm dumb, just pretend, right? And help me with some of the use cases and the ROI that you're getting from these tools, please.
Brent, you want to go first, or?
Honestly, when you said it, like of what's applying, none, right? Like I'm having a hard time dealing with vendors or even someone that's supposed to help me build out the infrastructure, because they keep on asking for, what do you want? Like, what's the end product? What's the trigger, right? What's the solution? And I'm so far, I'm like, nothing. I'm just trying to get everything accessible and readable by AI. Because we don't know what we don't know until we have everything in a spot, in a place. And I've seen that with my just the Power BI stuff, right? As I put the information together, we start assuming one thing or going down one path, but once we have all the information and can read it, and it can give us context or other information that wasn't available before, it changes how we react to it, and it changes how we will update it. Instead of just those, fixing one thing here, fixing one thing there, it's still only on a linear scale of what you're working on. So I'm trying to build that out on a much larger scale of learning, and also knowing what hasn't come out yet, right? AI can't be really good for you if it can't read your data. And if you only have certain read parameters or just Snowflake or querying information, it's still querying dumb information, and you have to get that information in a way that it can read it better, or so it's filtered to what you need, or that's unique to you as well. As I said, though, if I wasn't going on vacation, I think I'm 3 months from never having to hire a recruiter again. So that's a lot of money. And that's why Claude's making so much money. This month I said I think it's 27 billion, 26 billion or something like that. And people are asking why, and they said, well, it's because it's crossing the threshold where it is going to take salaries. It's there, so people are seeing the value and paying a lot more for it with the information that it's doing. Once it has that data and everything else that's there, it can do anything, right? I mean, the voice stuff is already there. In given context, it's extremely good. It's already better than our recruiters when it's given the information it needs, and it can feed it back in the system automatically and in the right place and filtered and everything we want, skills and background or any other notes we want. It's just the possibilities of that, of having it just be super smart and super readily available and not tied to anything. I'm not in a contract with anyone, right? I'm not in a contract for software. I'm not any of that stuff. I'll have the freedom for any tool that comes along to be tagged on at any point in the stage of our business once it's all there and ready. In Ben's case of running local LLMs is a next level of when it will make up its own stuff, but he can now let it run itself. So where I don't have anything auto running, that code and information and learning is only happening when I'm working on it. He can have something like that resume builder. I could have it where it goes, I would just tell it, go in, pull the log, see what the feedback is, and then make the updates, constantly improve of doing it. And it could do that. It could do that by being me on the computer. It can click through the browsers. It can do everything, acting as me. It can book all your flights. Have you done that yet, Ben?
No, I'm not giving it access to any kind of credit or.
If you logged in and we go to your Amex, it could book through your points.
Yeah.
All that stuff is possible. And all the crazy part though is all of that is free. Everything I just said that it can do is free. It doesn't cost anything, and it can do all these things without paying a subscription to something or something that does that, in mimicking. But it can't do that without the context and information. Even what Jeff had showed, the power and what he built was connecting all that data because it had context and information of what's there. And he built a whole website and platform in 4 hours that would have taken God knows how long, just a year ago. No, it's get started. Just play with it. Just ask if you need anything, want anything, what it is or where it is. It's just it's a little scary in the sense that I finally feel like we're on that exponential curve that we've been talking about for 5 years, to the point that it's going to kill a ton of jobs, and it's going to kill a lot of software too, because I think SaaS is dead. I'm not looking at software because I think I can build it myself, no matter what it is. And I would never have said that 3 months ago.
Unbelievable how quickly it's changing. Absolutely crazy. Christine, I don't know if the agenda's locked for Nashville, but
one more question though before Ben, use case.
Yeah, so I mean, it's still very much a loss lead. I mean, at this point, I'm same as Brent. Like I guess my thought around this is if you snapshot it today, this is the dumbest AI is ever going to be moving forward. And so if you think about where AI was even a year ago, like when I'd get on the chat bots and they'd start hallucinating, they were not helpful at all, looking back even 6 months ago. But then when Cowork came out and you start plugging it into tools and allowing it to do things, then it really starts to, in the quality of the models is getting so much better, so much faster. And that's probably only going to accelerate over this next year. Just it's simply a matter of energy and compute. The more they plug into it, the smarter it's going to get. And like if you could ask GPT a legal question a year ago and it would be 90% accurate. if you go in and ask it to do stuff now, it's probably as good or even better than what I'd get from an attorney. And that's, I think with OpenClaw, there's a lot of security issues there today. But it was more of me just wanting to play with it and kind of set it up in a safe environment where I don't have it connected to anything that I have. But I've got it where I can communicate with it. It's the craziest one to me, in that I can be sitting there on my cell phone at the beach, and it's having a conversation with me doing work in the background. I'm not prompting it, and it's setting up kind of these cron jobs for itself and saying, now I gave it a mission statement, said, hey, here's who you are and here's what you're supposed to be to me, and it goes out and starts figuring out ways to do that, and it's definitely a different level than what you see out of the models, because they still have to play in a safe environment, because they're still trying to sell to us as consumers and to corporations. But OpenClaw is open source, and it's got all its good and bad in being that. But it starts to, when you get in there, it's the first 3 or 4 days with it is super frustrating, because it's going to glitch out and it's going to have issues. But once you finally get the foundation set on it, start plugging in some of the tools to it. It was a pretty deep rabbit hole, and it's starting to become pretty useful too. And I'm probably the only slow point in that. And I think the use case right now that I'm building out currently is I gave it access to Apollo.io, and then trained it on a bunch of data about our company and who we are, what our kind of target clients would look like, those kind of things, and said, hey, I want you to do lead gen for us. I want you to do sales strategy. I want you to research every contact within, these titles within any firm that looks like what we like, and go out there and do that in these markets every day. Bring back 20 new prospects, give full dossiers on them, and have them ready to hand over to a salesperson. And it can go do that. It'll pull every job, their Glassdoor rankings, any kind of sales strategy about what they're facing, news around them. Any new plants, any new acquisitions, any divestitures, and then actually going into the people and saying, hey, find things that they're interested in and make suggestions on how a salesperson could connect with them and open a relationship. And so it may see that they posted stuff about dogs on their social media profile and come back and say, hey, they seem to be a dog lover. You might want to try something in this vein, or if you do a drop off, give them some dog treats as well. So I mean, it's just stuff like that it's doing a ton of knowledge work that we don't have to do.
The one end was that when I put together another side, like the data strategy I had, and I said, all right, Claude, give me what you think at the end, right? Well, you're doing everything. I hate that it does exactly what I want all the time. It's very frustrating. I have to back it up a lot and say, stop, full picture again, and do things. And I said, add something at the end. So it added things of, in the future, what could change on this data strategy we have. And at the end, it said the value of this system is not what it can do on day one, but what it knows on day 1,000 that no one else knows.
Yeah. I mean, my advice to anybody that hasn't dipped their toes into this is just start creating like documentation around you as a person, around the companies that you have, so that you can feed context to these models when you're ready to use them. Because that's the hardest part on the front end, is giving them enough context so that they're useful to you in that process, and they know how you like to work. What are the tools you work in? How do you communicate? When I send an email, I don't want a bunch of emoticons and dashes and bolding and all that kind of stuff where you can tell it came from a model.
You can't get rid of M dashes. They're inevitable.
Death, taxes, M dashes.
Yes, but if you'll keep those files, and that way when the models upgrade and you want to switch models, it's very easy to make that switch without losing a ton of context.
Wow. Well, I can't thank you guys enough, Brent, Ben, and Jeff. This was an incredible conversation. I think we could all go on for 2 more hours with the questions that we have and what we're learning. So hopefully we can continue this into Nashville a little bit. Speaking of Nashville, how many days are we out, Christine?
You have 1 week left to book your room, but we're about 6 weeks out.
Content looks amazing. Obviously, Nashville is a great town to go to. And I know ASGroup has a ton of fun stuff planned as well. So can't wait to see you guys all there. And I think Brent and Ben, you guys are gonna be pretty popular there because you're not gonna have to buy a drink in Nashville at all. I'm
That's
pretty
for sure.
sure. So thank you all for joining us. Thank you for your expertise, and see you guys in a little over a month.
See you.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
See ya.
Thanks.
Bye.